What's going on, y'all? This is Coach Mike D with another episode of Impact and Fulfillment. And I have an amazing episode in store for you today. It's an amazing episode, and partly it's amazing because of who I'm interviewing, but it's really amazing based off of kind of the storyline by which with what we're talking about today. And it's something that a lot of people have had challenges with, but just because you have challenges, sometimes there's silver linings in everything, and we can learn from things, and we can also use our circumstances to then impact the lives of others that we come into contact with. But we'll jump into that in a few minutes. But on this episode, I have my cousin, Staff Sergeant John Thurmond. And, John is my guy. Like, it's funny, when we were growing up, he's a good little bit younger than I am. But so he was like a baby way back in the day when I was like in high school and all of that kind of stuff. But over the years, we stayed in contact, and I followed his journey, and he's moved around and got into the military and became a husband and a dad and all of this kind of stuff. And so it's been awesome to watch him grow and mature into the man that he's become. And that growth and maturity has taken a totally different step due to some recent circumstances that, he and his family and our family collectively have recently come through. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome my man, my cousin, Staff Sergeant John Thurmond. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? I appreciate you having me on, man. Definitely.
Man, dude, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, man. I mean, and I'll tell you, once we get into the subject matter, folks will understand why I am, so appreciative of you wanting to come on and share. But I first want to say, before we even jump into that, man, I'm proud of you because, knowing what you're currently going through and the trials and the tribulations and how you're stepping into it and how you're approaching everything, I can't say anything but I'm proud of you, man.
I appreciate it.
No doubt, brother. No doubt. And so before we jump into, your story, I like to have everybody on to give shout outs, man. So give some shout outs to Wind Beneath Your Wings, man. And then we'll jump into your story, brother.
Well, for one, just family and friends, man. Honestly, that's pretty much big on me. Family, friends, and my support system, man. So I'm gonna give a shout out to they know who they are. I'm not gonna go down the line and name everybody, but just wrapping their arms around me and my family, just specifically my kids during this time has definitely been something that's kind of got me through this. So just family, friends, and my support system. That's what I'm shouting out today.
No doubt, man. No doubt. And you mentioned family, friends, and support system, and you also mentioned the last few weeks have been extremely challenging. And first and foremost, I want to say, obviously condolences and everything. And we know you and I have talked before, but I'm just going to kind of give you the floor to kind of share what you've dealt with and what you've been going through and what you're currently going through, brother.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, my wife, Brianna, she who was also a soldier as well, she passed away of cancer on March 2nd. And it was something, that we, at the time, we kind of, when she was first diagnosed, that was something we kind of want to keep close to our chest, something we kept to ourselves, not necessarily to hide it, but kind of just, we were very, I won't say we were a private couple or a private family, but we were very reserved in terms of certain personal stuff. So we felt like it was necessary to kind of just fight through it. And because we were very optimistic, we were definitely a family of faith. So we felt like, it was something we're going to conquer, get over with. And then when we can let the masses know what we were dealing with. But unfortunately, she passed on March 2nd. It kind of took a turn, and she became terminally ill around, I want to say, mid to late February. And then kind of from then, it was kind of went downhill from there. And so over the last few weeks, kind of trying to navigate through that, navigating, making sure our families are good, her side and my side as well, making sure our daughters are good. So it was just been, it's been a lot, but I can say that, talking and leaning on family and friends has definitely helped me throughout the process.
When when you and I talked not too long ago, you mentioned that, your natural tendency in life kind of growing up was to kind of keep to yourself. Like when you're going through, because again, we men, so we go through
Right.
stuff, right?
Right.
And for a lot of us, our natural tendency is to become, closed, right? It's like, I'm going through something, let me shut it down, keep it close to the vest, and I go figure it out myself. But you shared something with me in the midst of this, that you said those moments in which you wanted to get close, those are the moments that you realize you needed to be more open,
Exactly.
and that has been beneficial to you. Talk to us a little bit about that, man.
Yeah, so like you said, growing up, I mean, especially as Black men, or we're kind of taught to, don't show emotion, don't, kind of don't. I don't want to say don't express yourself, but anything that's kind of bothering you, just not put your head down, but you just fight through it and do what you gotta do. That's what as men, that's what we're taught. Even from as a boy, you're taught that. Whether it's playing sports, so you get injured, all right, brush some dirt on you, you good. So kind of that mentality of we take that into an adulthood, and then once you become an adult, you still carrying those things with you. Like, all right, I'll get through this. I'll be fine. But something as serious and traumatic as this, I noticed like I can't just hold on to it, because for the longest, before she became terminally ill, it was still a lot in terms of managing, taking care of her, taking care of household, going to work, and kind of just doing everything a dad and a husband is supposed to do. At the time, before then, I figured, this isn't. I mean, it's hard, but it's just what I'm supposed to do. I'm being a man, I'm being a husband. But after she passed, I was thinking, I said, I can't handle this by myself. Like, I can't just hold it all in and pretend like I'm fine. So I reached out, and I've noticed that talking to people, talking about her, talking about the situation, talking about what I'm going through helps. And it's been therapeutic for me as well. As I've been going to therapy, once a week, talking to my therapist, and reaching out to family. If I need to talk, reaching out to friends instead of holding that stuff in, letting it out has been very therapeutic for me.
Man, that is such a powerful statement, man, especially in the midst of it. Like a lot of time, and that's why I was like, again, like I said, I was so proud of you, man, by just because you said, hey, I want to come on and share my story, because maybe my story can help somebody else. And what's so interesting about what you just said, and what's so powerful about it, is you're currently in the midst of this. Like you said, she passed on March the 2nd, correct? We're recording this on April the 3rd. So this is like literally just a month ago. And you're talking about, what you're going through while you're going through it. And that's so different from a lot of people who wait 2, 3, 4 years later. And then I tell everybody about my process beforehand. You're actually sharing as you're going through.
Right.
It's a powerful statement, man. And I think that's something that a lot of people could possibly learn from, because so many of us wait until we get to the other side.
Exactly.
Yep. You know what I'm saying? Before we help somebody else, or before we share, or before we open up. You know what I'm saying? And dude, I get, like I said, I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah,
like,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't even, I mean, full transparency, in the same situation, I don't know if I would be in a position mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to share.
And, I thought about that. I honestly myself, I sit back and think, I said, how am I even dealing with it? But, I think it's a sense of, like I said, speaking to my family, my mom, my dad, that peace that I do have, I know it comes from, for one, it comes from God, and I know it comes from Brianna too, because I prayed. I said, I don't want to feel like this. I know you can't rush the grieving process, but I remember, before she passed, we would talk, and even after she passed, and I still talk to her to this day. I told her, I said, Brianna, I don't want to feel like this. So do what you gotta do. Talk to God up there for me. But ever since then, I've had like an absolute peace in terms of what has happened. I still have my moments, I still have my days, but at the same time, I'm kind of just, for lack of a better term, settling into what life is going to be like. And I can't just dwindle in grief. I got to keep moving, because I have, a family to take care of, my girls and my kids. So that's the kind of perspective I'm taking with it, just keep going. And I know I can't, like I said, that's the reason I'm on here. So I want to help. It could be somebody else who's dealing with a similar issue. Somebody loses their spouse every day. Not necessarily, maybe not this young, but I know that I want to use my situation to help somebody else, you know.
And for someone, and you know, you're 29 and Brianna was 24, correct? So I want that to resonate for those listening, right? I'm not talking to somebody who's 49 or 59 or 69. I'm talking to a brother who's 29 years old, whose wife was 24 years old. So this is not something that, you know, you've had a whole, you know, generations to kind of mature through and get yourself ready. This is something that a young person's dealing with. And that's something we have to be mindful of. And that's why, again, like I said, I can't say anything, but I'm proud of you, man. Like the way that you're operating, the way that you're handling yourself, the way that you're, you know, because you mentioned being a father. You know, you all have, you know, 2 young kids, right? And then you have 4 total. And so it's just, you know, being a father and being able to continue to move forward, you know, in the midst of this is a testament to, 1, faith, but then 2, the whole concept of you being committed to healing. And that's something that's so powerful, man.
And one thing that has helped me, man, we talked about this the other day when we talked, that our marriage and our relationship, like when I say, you know, every relationship has their issues, whatever, but when I say we maximized every single moment together, like and I know it's, and besides that, so many things had to align perfectly for me and her to even cross paths. So and God knew before we even met, you know, what was ahead. So I think that's why he allowed us to, every single time that we, you know, spent, you know, I had my training where I had to go away. She had her things, we were away from each other. But even those moments, man, every moment spent together was maximized. So I don't sit back and I can't sit there and say like, man, like, I wish we didn't argue about this petty thing. I wish we didn't do this. I wish we could have. We did. We traveled the world together. We bought a house together. We made babies. You know, we leveled each other up, you know, career-wise, financially, everything. So like, even in those 4 or 5 years we knew each other, it feels like a lifetime almost. So that's why I can't sit here and just be like, man, like it sucks that she's not here physically, but I have no regrets when it comes to our marriage at all. So and that's one thing that's kind of just helped me kind of carry on to keep pushing, honestly, you know.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, that is inspirational for me. You know what I'm saying? As a husband. I mean, I'm a few years older than you, just a couple. But I'm gonna claim just a couple. Right. But dude, that's such inspiration for me to really be in the moment and make the most of every moment. Because in a short time frame, you're able to create a lifetime of memories in a short time frame. Whereas you have so many people who have decades and don't create the same memories and life-changing experiences, you know, over decades. And you all were able to do that in a very short time frame because you were intentional. Sometimes we don't know why we're being intentional about it. We don't know why we're doing this and doing all of that and whatever, and all these things. But there was a reason for it. You know, I guess God knew beforehand.
And it's funny you mentioned being intentional, because like a lot of things that, you know, my family noticed about myself, I didn't notice about myself. Like, man, you cooking now? You doing all this? You know what I'm saying? You doing? I'm like, I guess it's just who I am. But like, I was intentional, like subconsciously, because a lot of stuff. And you know, for fellas out there, when you do meet somebody, man, a lot of things that you feel like, you know, I'm not gonna do that, or you know, like the right woman will make you, whether you know it or not. the right woman gonna come along, and everything you said you wouldn't do, it just comes natural. I wouldn't even, a lot of things I wouldn't think about. There was just something that I thought, oh, this is what a husband, dad is supposed to do, you know. So she definitely, without her knowing, or maybe she even did know, she definitely leveled me up to where I am today as a man. You know, she was definitely, you know, my better half, and you know, she just made me better, you know. And that's one thing I tell everybody, like, she was, in my eyes, you know, there's no such thing as a perfect person, but you know, she was perfect. And I think God said, you know what, you've done your job on earth and you too good to be down there. So that's kind of what's been playing in my mind when it comes to Brianna, you know.
Brother, you know, you talked about how you all actually connected. It was kind of like it had to be something divine.
It had to.
Take us back there, because I don't think I fully know the whole story. I think I read a little something about it, but
yeah,
like,
so
how did y'all connect, man?
So we met on a deployment. So at the time, and I met her through my cousin on my mom's side, Tanisha. So I didn't, and I didn't even know Tanisha was in the military. So I got a message from her on Facebook one day, like, "Hey cousin, I'm coming to Kuwait. I'll be there in a month or so." And I'm like, "Cool, we'll link up when you get here." So my cousin's unit got there. I've been there already for about a month and a half. I'm kind of gotten, acclimated, whatever. So we hang out and I noticed her. I'm like, who's your friend there? And the first thing I noticed was like her hair and her smile and everything. I was like, who's your friend? Oh, yeah, that's my friend Brianna. And I said, okay. So I didn't really think nothing of it. You kind of plant that little birdie in your ears. I'm like, all right, cool. So a couple of days go by, a couple of weeks go by, and we start conversing and talking. And I just noticed, like, as a person, she was genuine, she was mature. Like I said, I'm a couple years older than her, so she was very mature for her age at the time we met. And she was just somebody who was easy to talk to. And at the time, we were both dealing with similar issues, past relationships or whatever like that. So it kind of made it easy for us to connect.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're spending time with each other. And, one day I was like, you know what, let's go grab a cup of coffee. So we,
in Kuwait.
Yeah, in Kuwait. Yeah, they had a Starbucks out there, believe it or not. So
hold on. I got a sidebar here. See, again, for somebody who's not been military, I've never been deployed. I've traveled internationally, but I've never been deployed. Right. When I hear Kuwait, I'm not thinking, and you say deployed, I'm thinking like, okay, where the hell is they finna go get some coffee in Kuwait when they on deployment?
And so Kuwait, man, honestly, man, Kuwait's a vacation. Anybody who's military knows Kuwait is somewhere you go to. I mean, it was a vacation. I'll just put it like that. We were, but it was laid back. They got Starbucks, they got Burger King, they got pretty. It's very westernized out there.
Okay.
Yeah. So got a cup of coffee that night, and we literally sat there for literally hours. We were there till the sun came up the next day, just talking, kind of connecting, getting to know each other. And from that night on, we was attached at the hip. And she helped me in terms of, because I met her, man. I knew the Army was something that I wanted to do. I grew up around my dad and everything like that, but it was nothing that at the time I wasn't really serious about. It was just something that I'm collecting a check, it was something cool, and I'm just gonna keep doing it. But when I met her, just noticing how she moved and how she was very professional, even at her age. Like, she didn't accept mediocrity at all, and she held me accountable. So that kind of made me want to level up myself. So I'm like, man, I gotta, if I'm trying to date her, man, I can't be, you know what I'm saying? I gotta level up too. So she made me want to be better. And ever since then, like, we competed against each other, we held each other accountable, motivated each other. And she, like, literally made every aspect of life since the day I met her better, Yep.
Man, that's awesome, dude. And so after deployment, so talk to us a little bit about that journey, because I'm fascinated now.
So for the longest, we were long distance for a while. So I went back to Kansas. That's where I was stationed at the time. I left about maybe a month and a half before she went back. So I went back to Kansas. So we're still connecting. We were still doing our thing, still talking. And then after she went back to Hawaii, that's where she was stationed at. And we still, we made it a point to where, I know this, we talked about it. I said, is this something that's going to just, just a little deployment fling, or is this something we're going to keep going? So she said, I really like you and I want to keep it going. So, all right, cool. We'll just see where it leads us. Because at the time, we weren't really, marriage wasn't on our radar. Because like I said, we had our own personal issues we were dealing with, but we were helping each other kind of navigate through it. So came back to the States, and I want to say May of 2019 is when we were kind of getting serious. Like, I want you to meet my family. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we did a road trip. She flew to Kansas, and we made a road trip out of it, kind of see. We stopped in Nashville to see Carla and, Eden and everything like that. Stopped there, and then we just drove down to Florida, met her family, instantly fell in love with them. So it, like I said, everything was like, it was natural. It just kind of, everything just kind of fell into place. Everything to, like, it just made it easy. And ever since then, like, we reconnected. She met my side of family. Everybody loves her and like, it just made it easy. That's why I say everything aligned so perfectly. That's how I know it was divine that we even, became what we did. And then I want to say we dated, or we'll fly back and forth. I flew to Hawaii a few times. She flew to Kansas. And then I want to say December of 2019, that's when we found out she was pregnant with Rosie. And at the time, we weren't trying, but we were trying, you know what I'm saying? So And then, I want to do it the right way. I want, what I'm saying, if we're going to do this, I feel like we've been dating long enough. We know each other. This is something that, it feels right. We're at peace with it. We decided to get married. So I flew to Hawaii before I was going out to Korea, and we got married in Hawaii in January 2020. Yep.
Wow, January 2020. Then right before the pandemic hit everything. Yo, wow.
Yep. Yep.
That is fascinating, dude. And that's an amazing story. And again, to your point, it's just like a cousin that you didn't even know was in the military reached out to you and said, "Hey, I'm coming to Kuwait."
Right. And that cousin, I didn't speak. I kid you not. So I haven't spoken to her before then. Probably, I want to say over 10 years. Like I didn't I haven't spoken to her 10 years. We were close growing up. We were very close. We were the same age. So I used to always see her, family reunions and stuff like that. But I didn't know where she was. I didn't even know she was in the military. And she hit me up one day and said, "Yo, your cousin, well, I'll be in Kuwait." And I was like, "Cool, we'll link up then." And and even besides that, so many things, like I said, I had to, like, if I was stationed somewhere else, or if I didn't pick, my right military occupation, it could have, like, the course could have been off track in some kind of way, So everything, like I said, had to line perfectly for me to even meet her, to even anything. So, yeah.
Brother, I'm gonna tell you, it's fascinating to hear your story, and we'll talk about this, offline somewhere. But the thing is, your story of meeting Brianna is very similar to my story meeting my wife, Maisha.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was, literally long distance, hooked up by somebody. The connection was through somebody you hadn't talked to in a while, because I was hooked up through my godmother, but my godmother's niece, who I hadn't seen in probably 15 years before, was the connect with Maisha to my godmother. And it was just all these things, like you said, that are just like, okay, you can't make this stuff up. And it happened for a reason.
It did. It definitely did. And like I said, God knew kind of what our path was going to be. And I think that's why he allowed us to not kind of dwell on little stuff or sweat the small. Because we, like I said, any marriage, you're going to have disagreements. But one thing that we did, not even in the cliche sense, we communicated about everything. So if it was something that I knew, she wasn't too hot about, or if I disagreed on, we'll sit down, we'll talk about it. And we didn't agree on everything, but at the same time, like, this is where we stand on, this is what it's going to be. And that's what it was. We didn't allow ourselves to, fall into, pits of, "Oh, I'm mad at you." So I'm like, we didn't do none of that. Like, we never went to bed angry with one another. We never started our day like that. That's one thing that I do appreciate, was our communication. Cause I think we had a good foundation of being friends first, which it absolutely helps. And we communicated. Now, that was something, our foundation was on communication. Obviously, the physical attraction, of course, and all that stuff. But communication and being friends and, like, genuinely liking a person it does wonders for a relationship, in my opinion. It wasn't just built on it wasn't built on lust, if that makes sense. Like a lot of relationships are these days, So I think us having that foundation, and also having God in the middle of it, because she was a God-fearing woman. She was brought up in the church. She was, active in the church as a young person. So all that, resulted in what we built,
Effective communication.
Yep.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, the vast majority of the issues we face in romantic relationships, but then also just in life in general, kind of stem from either miscommunication or a lack of communication. Like, literally, if you think about this, unless there's some intellectual challenges going on, if there's no intellectual challenges going on, it's typically an issue of miscommunication or a lack of effective communication. And so if we can get the communication correct, and we do it on a regular basis, dude, we can wash away a lot of the issues, especially in relationships.
Yeah.
A lot of the issues we face.
Yep. That's correct. Cause, like, one thing that, that I didn't want for us, cause you have those, especially for young people, we're so caught up in, man, I don't want to apply too much pressure, or I don't want to do this. It was none of that. It was like, if I'm feeling some kind of way, or she's feeling some kind of way, she let me know. She's like, "Babe, I don't like that, or I don't agree with this. Sit down and talk about it." So that's what we did, and I'm grateful for that, because not only help in a relationship, but also it can help in other areas of your life too, where, you know, you might deal with issues either in your career or even, you know, parenting your kids, you know, anything. Like communication is key for I feel like that's the foundation of everything is communication. And then you just build off that.
You said something and it made me really think about the concept of you can disagree without being disrespectful.
Yep.
And I think that's something that some of us lose sight of with our communication. It's like we can't disagree without being disrespectful, or we can't understand that there's a line between that. But it starts with this notion of, hey, we're coming from a place of we're friends, we love each other, we care about each other. I'm not going, you know, that I'm not going to say anything to intentionally hurt you. So anything that I say that's criticism is coming from the standpoint of constructive criticism.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Or it's just something I don't agree with. But either way, it's not coming from a place of disrespect.
Exactly.
Which I think saves a lot of us a lot of heartache and a lot of regret. Because then I said something I ain't need to say. Like, oh, I gotta take my foot out my mouth. And I've been there before. Take my foot out my mouth. You know what I'm saying? And but I think if we always come from a place of it's okay to disagree, but it's not okay to disrespect, then that keeps us clean in our communication and allows us to, we ain't gotta be on the same page on everything, but we at least are gonna be respectful to each other. And that gives us basically a get out of jail free card without needing one. Right. So
and honestly, man, Brianna was such a, like, just a beautiful person. Like even when she was upset, it wasn't from a place of like, she wasn't like nasty. And you know, some people can be when they're upset or mad about something, it just turned to like, it was none of that. Like it was, and like I said, it made it easier for me to communicate with her, you know, because she allowed me to talk, I allowed her to talk. So it was just, we just flowed, you know. And that's why, like, thinking back on our, you know, marriage and relationship, I don't have a space. I don't feel sad, you know. It's just because I'm grateful for it. Because like I said, a lot of people, you know, spend their entire life literally searching for what I got to experience in, you know, 5 years, what like I said, I'm trying to hold on to, or I am holding on to and being thankful for. Because, you know, God allowed me to experience true love. He allowed me to experience, you know, somebody who would, without a doubt, you know, do anything for it and vice versa, you know. So I'm just blessed and thankful for it. And that's one thing that on my days where I am kind of, you know, I guess stuck in that kind of in my thought process and emotion, I'm like thinking like, man, you got to experience something that a lot of people don't. And that's one thing that I've been holding on to.
So that being said, you know, you all together have two young girls, right?
Yep.
And they're right now, they're what, 3 and
2 and 1. 2 and 1.
They're 2 and 1. So they're young in a sense that they probably don't quite conceptualize or don't have the idea of what's going on. With the rich experiences and memories that you have and the things that literally you're going to hold dear into your heart, what are some of the things that you're going to teach you all's daughters about their mother?
For once, that she was an honest person, and she was just when I say nice, I don't mean it like, oh, this is a nice person. She was genuinely like, she treated everybody. When I say everybody with respect. She was humble. And one thing I want to, they're going to know about their mother is that she loved them. She wanted to be a mother. That's one thing that she wanted to be. It wasn't forced. Like she genuinely wanted to be a mother. And that's one thing that I'm going to, you know, the girls are going to know, is that how amazing their mother was, how much she loved them with every, you know, fiber in her body. She loved them girls. And just being a God-fearing person, a nice person, a humble person, a person of character, professional, just, you know, like she was perfect. And I can't, you know, like I said, there's no perfect person on the earth, but in my eyes, just the way she carried herself and how, you know, the impact she made on so many people, like nobody has anything bad they can say about Brianna. And I honestly believe that, you know, her memorial was this past Friday, and just seeing the impact she made on her colleagues and people she worked with. Because like I didn't really get to see that side of her, you know, because at home she was mommy and my wife. So a lot of things that maybe her coworkers got to see, I didn't see. But, you know, hearing those stories about how she took care of people, how people came to her for advice, you know, older people came to her for advice, how she, you know, mentored people, I want all of those values to be instilled in them. And that's one thing that those girls are definitely going to know about how amazing their mother was. And, that's why I said the rest of my days, I'm going to, do my best at, making sure that they know that.
Mm. And brother, like what you're doing today is a little sprinkling of some of what they'll be able to carry going forward. The more that you communicate this, the more that people like myself and the audience and everybody from around the world who will come across, this conversation, the more that they hear, the joy and the journey of you all together and really understand the true legacy and memory of Staff Sergeant Brianna Alexis Thurmond, right? The more that they hear that, that's going to get embedded into, you all's daughters. And, they're going to, even if they didn't see it themselves, with everything that you're doing, with how you're going to live your life, they're going to feel it. And sometimes feeling it is better than seeing it and hearing it.
Exactly. Yep.
And so for that, man, like I said, man, I'm proud of you, dude. And I guess as we kind of wrap it up, man, is there anything else that you like to share, to put out there, or anything?
Yeah, I just want to say people who are going through, somebody might come across this podcast who most like recently lost a spouse, not even recently, something dealing with, a death that's close to the family, not necessarily a spouse. Just, for me, like I said, I said earlier on that me talking about it, early in my life, talking about stuff wasn't really, that wasn't me. I thought, I don't need to see a therapist. I'm good. I can handle all this. But expressing yourself and talking about it not only can it help you, but like I said, it can help somebody else. And I didn't want to necessarily like harbor all these feelings. And because I'm really big on, go after going through this, I'm like, you know what, like as much as people has helped me, I want to pour back into, because I've had so much support from family, friends, even my unit I'm in. They've been like overwhelmingly, helping me kind of navigate through this and figure it out. And I would be remiss if I didn't take that and try to pour back into somebody else, or, whoever else might be dealing with it. So that's one thing that I just want to reciprocate. That's pretty much it. And for anybody who's going through something, don't necessarily have to be death, but anything it could be, weighing them down emotionally or whatever, just talk about it. Talk about what you're feeling, and not only can you help yourself, you can help somebody else. So that's what that's.
Yep. Not only can you help yourself, you can help somebody else. And if it's weighing you down, find a way to get yourself in a place in which you can let it go. And if that's therapy, that's talking to people, dude, we're not built to live in isolation. We're built to connect with people. And that's why, that's why we're built the way that we're built. That's why we have the emotions that we have. That's why we're wired the way that we're wired, is because we're supposed to connect with other people. That's why we're also not gifted with everything individually. Because if I had it all, then I wouldn't need nobody, right?
Exactly.
But because I only have a couple of these things, I got to connect with all kind of folks to get those other things, and vice versa. They need to connect with me to get some of that. And this thing continues. And the more we connect, the more we build together, the more we share, the more we can be better collectively. And so for that, man, for you doing your part when it comes to that, man, I say thank you.
Of course, man. I'm just doing what, it's crazy how God put certain situations in your life, and you don't know at the time. Because I've never, I can't sit here and say I've been angry with God at all. I have questioned him, as to why, what's the point of all this? But I'm kind of slowly starting to understand, like I'm using you maybe for something bigger. And that's kind of what's, like I said, keeping me going. Not only that, but the memories of Bree, and our marriage, and I just want to like I said, use this to help somebody else, and kind of help somebody else navigate whatever it is that they're going through. And like I said, I've been blessed enough to have an amazing support system, because some people go through this alone. Some people go through this type of stuff, they don't have nobody. And I know, like, I would be, like I said, I wouldn't be able to show the gratitude that I do have if I didn't, come on here, go to therapy, talk to other people, reach out to people who, what I'm saying, I could help, so that's one thing I want to keep doing and keep going, just using my story, using Brianna as to help other people. So
and the way that you said that she was always one that helped other people, that was there for
Always.
people, that, nobody had a bad word to say. This is part of you helping to continue that legacy.
Exactly. And one thing, something my dad said, and you know how he is.
Yeah.
So
I got to get him on the podcast at some point, man. Dr. Carl Thurmond, I'm
yeah.
calling you out,
So
brother. I got to get you on the show. Yeah.
So, I told him, I said, you know what, man, I don't even know if I want to do this Army thing no more. Cause where I'm at in my career, I feel like I've accomplished a lot in my short time. And, at this point, for me, I feel like at this point, I'm just chasing rank now. I feel like I've accomplished so much in my short amount of time. And I told him, he said, you know what? You said you have a duty and you have an honor to carry on what Brianna was doing. Because she was a soldier too, and I thought about it. I said, you know what, that's right, because she had so much to give the militaries. She had so much left in her career, and I feel like I would be throwing it away if because she wouldn't want that, and I wouldn't want that either if the roles were reversed. So I feel like I have a duty to keep doing what I'm doing, and that's with everything. Like I can't sit here and just I have my days, take the moments to be emotional and let it out, but I can't just sit in that grief and not do anything. I want to use that energy and turn it into something else. And I feel like, just like I said, me getting talking about her and spreading what she was about, not only to our girls but to everybody else, because the one thing I said this before, like, her legacy is going to continue, and that's one thing that I'm definitely going to make sure that happens. Like, she's not going to be forgotten. So that's kind of what I feel like maybe my life purpose is now, is to not only raise our kids, but make sure the people, like the world, if I can reach the masses, knows about her. So
dude, and check this out. Like I told you before, like a week or so ago, that, dude, if that's something that you're interested in doing, and just us having this discourse and conversation back and forth now, there is a gift inside of you right now. I mean, it's very clear that there's a gift inside of you, and that is being propelled by something much bigger than you. And, if you feel led to use platforms and use your voice and use your story to help other people, I think, honestly, dude, you're going to have more opportunities than you can shake a stick at to do so. And, this challenging time will end up being something that will help the masses of people as they go through. And one of the things that's interesting about that I'm learning through life is, like, sometimes, or a lot of times, the stuff that we go through really isn't for us. And it's hard in the moment to recognize that. We have to go through the process, and it hurts and it's challenging. But a lot of the things that we go through really aren't for us.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? As hard as it is, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, but why? And it goes back to that whole question of, like, dang, but what for what reason? Yeah. And that's where you got to have the faith to keep walking and being open, keep walking and being open, and the path will clear. Usually we want somebody to come clear the path for us first, exactly. And then we walk. Yeah. But the reality is, when it comes to life, it's, you got to start walking, and as you walk, the path clears. Yep. And so I'm just going to encourage you just to keep walking, brother, and give yourself grace and space to heal, to let things out, to connect, to do what you need to do. But in the process, I'm going to encourage you to just keep walking, brother. Just keep walking, because you're, this legacy that you're leaving, man, is it's amazing, and I'm proud of you.
Appreciate it, cuz. Always,
man. Well, yeah, look, this one, I told y'all this was going to be something that's, the title of this podcast is Impact and Fulfillment. And when you start talking about impact and you start talking about fulfillment, when you listen to the story of John and Brianna, and you listen to their love story, you listen to, the challenges, and then you listen to, after the fact, that there are no regrets at the end of the day, you can't get any more impact, and you can't hear or see any more fulfillment than what you just heard here in the story of John and Brianna. So, brother, I say thank you. Everybody listening, make sure you follow Coach Mike D everywhere on social media. Leave a rating on this episode, share this thing out, and be on the lookout, because I got a feeling that somewhere down the line you're gonna see Staff Sergeant John Thurmond doing some things on his own to share, because the brother got he got some juice. I'm sitting here like, man, and you got the voice for it too, brother. You
I
know
appreciate it.
So we definitely look forward to seeing stuff coming from you going forward. And if there's anything I can do for you and I are connected, as always. And so everyone out there, until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.